Good afternoon. Hope everyone's doing well. Pop open my soda. There we go. Yum yum. All right. Oh man, what am I going to work on? We got some bigger changes that I think I'm going to make. Still debating on how I'm going to do it. You know what we need to do? I need to look at the guidebook. One of the big changes, the first thing I think we're going to work on is probably redesigning like initial steps. So basically, I'm going to look to see what the rituals, what I'm really doing in the creation and destruction rituals. Prune some of that stuff out. Make a new type of Oculus. For like the, not new type of Oculus, but an Oculus that takes different caps. Because I think the easiest way for new people to come on is to be like, you know what? I unlock magic, I create a Nexus, I link it up to an Oculus, right? Don't go through rituals or anything yet. I make the stuff, you know, that I need to make based on, you know, like the chiseled mana stone could be, I think that's going to be what the caps are going to be. Oop, just like that. So I want an Oculus that's going to be more basic that you could make like this. Right? So nice transition. And then this will have, you know, like a select amount of spells here. Like, not spells, but ciphers available. And then you can start making your Lesser Arcanus. You can make the rune stones in here. And then once that gets peeled back, I get to see what's left with rituals. I had a different idea for rituals. I think what got me was hey Fritz, I think I was looking to all the mods a little too much, like all the magic mods I liked from Minecraft. And it's kind of, I feel like that the ritual system kind of lost its identity a little bit. Like, I like the idea of this not making items, like, you know, for the sake of ease, right? This is item creation, right? This is how you make items and make blocks. I should probably keep all of that stuff in here to make it easier, right? Rituals, I wanted them to be more kind of like world magic, honestly. Like, world magic, that's another thing that, like, I think found a better identity than rituals, because rituals are, like, kind of rigid. You know, you place it down, and then you need this dedicated area. I wanted things to be more like world magic, where it's a little looser, you know, I just haven't found a good way to do that. And then I was thinking, so, yeah, rituals affect the world, Oculus makes stuff, yeah. So what I was thinking, the reason why the ritual system's the way it is, and we have rituals and world magic, is because to do that kind of stuff, I need a catalyst block that transmutation looks for. With a dedicated ritual block, I am able to, you know, just say, okay, you know what, transmutation, is this a ritual block? If so, okay, let's look in the item slots, let's see what kind of ritual it is, let's see what your catalyst is, you throw your reagent, right, and that's the fuel that you burn, and then it does the magic, right? So it's a more advanced form. It's a world magic that's easier on me, but takes a couple more steps for the player. Right? And then you got world magic, right? And that's like, you can have, like, usually it's a mana stone torch in the center for a catalyst, but I have to be careful with, you know, a bunch of other blocks, because if you get something in the right pattern format, then I'm doing a bunch of checks. Every time you do something on a mana torch, I'm doing like 20 checks, right? Like, well, is there this pattern? Is there this one? Is there this one? So I got to find the balance between them, and I think I found it. Hey, Vexus. I think, and this is not including like the stability, right? You know, having to have the crystals to stabilize your rituals or anything. I think that the ritual altar should become like an obsolete block. I think I should make blocks that are more consumable, right? That you could place down so it's not a mana torch each time. and then maybe have that be what world magic kind of jumps off of. Like, they could maybe literally be like talismans, or maybe I could call it a catalyst. You know what I mean? But to like redesign that in some way. But that's not what this stream's about. Hey, Voljaris, Vexus, Fritz, they're all coming in. I think the first thing I need to do is unmuddy the unmuddy synthesis and the rituals, or the ritual altar. So thinking about the game, right? You unlock magic, you have a bunch of rift stone, right? Or a bunch of rifts, you have a bunch of rift blooms and the elemental fragments. So the next logical step, right? I think you should go right into creating your synthesis altar. At that point, you should have the know-how to get Lesser Arcanus, right? So you should be able to make everything here because you have all the ingredients. Mana torches were the only thing you needed here. I kind of want to find a use for ritual, or for the fragments, the crystals with synthesis. I think there'd be some cool, I don't know. We got to think that part out, right? You know what would be neat? Like almost have it be like another kind of a filtering fuel source, right? Something like you would put the crystal like here. Oh, I totally forgot I did that. So you can see what blocks you are missing. I totally forgot about that feature. I wonder if anyone else knew about that. If anyone read the mouse over tooltip, they would know. That's great. All right, I'm gonna have to. All right, let's take a look at this. So what do I have crammed into rituals? Ritual of creation. So far, you create lesser runestone, so that could be synthesis. You create the elemental crystals, which could be synthesis. You create the low fertility soil block. I don't know if we need this anymore. Can't you just create Terra Preta in the world? Like, you don't find it anymore. Creating pieces of obsidian, creating a unique flower pot, unique planter, unique storage. Like, these things could become just world magic too. The flower pot's a placeable item, the planter's placeable, the storage vessel's placeable. Could do that kind of stuff. Creates a piece of obsidian. I mean, all this stuff is doable. You create Terra Preta, correct? Yeah. So everything in the ritual of creation is stuff that should be in synthesis. Ritual of destruction. What are we doing here? So we make charcoal. We break something down to make temporal fragments. We create a rift. Okay, that's something that we could reserve to rituals. Rituals in particular, right? Creating a rift. And then making more temporal fragments. So really, the ritual of creation and destruction, most of that stuff should be something you synthesize. 100%. Augmentation makes sense. Like this, the augmentation rituals are more what I had in mind for rituals, right? Like something that is in place that can affect a wide area of things, right? Like, this waters your farmland, right? This adds different types of fertilizer. This forces things to grow. And then you got like your summoning rituals, which is pretty much Orebringer as of right now. But that's the start for like rituals. You know what I mean? Like that's the idea that I would want to go with. And I would like to do something with similar to witchery, I guess, where you would maybe use a ritual to like augment yourself or some like other people around you. Maybe, like they have that whole voodoo aspect. I don't know if I want to get into that. Like, I don't want to make a platform for someone to grief someone else and be a jerk. But I'm thinking rituals may have... It's a lot of complexity, right? In the beginning, it's like you unlock magic. Now you need a nexus. Make a couple torches. Now you need to make a ritual altar. Figure that system out and get your stabilizers. Now you need to make a Oculus, right? And then finally from the Oculus, you start synthesizing everything you need. Why not just have, why not just cut out rituals? Well, that's what we're gonna do. Get ready, rituals. Hold my Pepsi. Just. Oh yeah, and eventually we have to deal with the mana distillery and how that's gonna work out. I created a new item, a mana extractor, and then I created various potions here that have a slight glow to them. Let me throw this out. There we go. So there will be a little glow at night. Oh yeah, and I have to redo my armor as well, because apparently my models for my armor are too complex. So I gotta dumb it down. I guess we'll say. So say goodbye to the shoulder pads. Say goodbye to them. Let's look at them one more time. Look at them one more time. Wait. There we go. Hold on. Make it daytime. There we go. Now we can look at them. They were cool. I actually really did like the robe and everything. Yeah, so Vexus, what happens is when you pick up items, I'll show you what happens. Every time an item is picked up and put into the bag, if it goes to your hotbar, totally fine. But every time an item gets picked up and gets dropped into one of your bags, it forces a redraw of all of your armor, right? So let's keep that in mind. So forcing a redraw of like complex armor, you know what, let's really make this crazy. You're terraforming a mountain, right? There we go. Here, we'll throw that out, right? Watch what happens. Flag. And then you're good again. I think it's part of the backpack system. I think the game's a little too aggressive because, you know, you have to account for rendering, right? So this backpack, here we go. You gotta force a render redraw when you place your backpack on, right? Because it draws it, but it also redraws all of your armor. So that's a problem. But if I have very simple armor, like literally a couple blocks around you, so the armor's too complex. Yeah, does that apply? I guess it depends on the shapes and the texturing that you're doing. It's, yep, the stuttering, and it gets worse if your computer's not as powerful. Like mine, I got a 4070 in there, you know, like this is a really freaking beastie computer. And it still stutters mine. So it's sloggingly bad, I bet, for people with you know, the thing is, like, I say a weaker computer, like Vol, you said you had like a 3070, right? Like we're not talking about anything too crazy here. Oh, both of my cats want to leave because I'm talking. Oh, kittens. Yeah. Yeah, something on the Discord page. Yeah, it's... Yeah, and you know, the thing is, like, I guess it's time. Like, I do like my armor, but maybe it's time to try and make, like, more, I don't know, maybe magey armor. I kind of started to go tech a little bit with it. So, like, I'm not getting rid of this armor. I'm still gonna have the bottle. Like, if you want, I will have the transmog stone be able to turn into this armor, you know, with your color. But I think, you know, for like the base gear, I think it's got to change. Got to change. Honestly, I think I would like it if it was more like, just like, you know, this kind of robe look. I think that'd be pretty neat. I got to figure out a hat solution. Yeah. Quietness. Keep it down, Vice. We're trying to nap in here for the 17th consecutive hour. So, oh, and another thing that I'm going to be tackling in this update is trying to figure out, it seems like there's still confusion. People still have confusion with, like, doing things in the mod, right? The guidebook doesn't have, like, every single thing. Like, I can't be Shakespeare in here. You know, the handbook has information in it, but you can't use images, right? So it's like I'm fighting a battle of what type of people, right? Like, what type of learners am I writing a guide for? Some people do great just having the Shakespearean descriptive, you know, like, this is how you do things. And other people do great when they can see, like, how do you describe putting runes around the Nexus to, like, turn it on? You know what I mean? Like, how do you do something like that, right? You can't through text, like, easily at all, and have it make sense, because the handbook doesn't have images. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to start migrating sections here, like unlocking magic. I'm going to migrate the text of this into the in-game handbook, right? So for the guide, it's going to be Rustbound magic, you know, unlocking magic, right? Like, I'll put, like, chapter 1 unlocking magic. That way people know there's a chronological order. Now, you're not going to have images, right? Nice, pretty images, you know, like, if I describe to you, find rifts in the world and what it makes, like, with, like, rift blooms and stuff, you ain't got no images. But the limitation here is, like, yeah, I could put images in, but I can only have these books be so big. I only have so much room for text, you know what I mean? So most of these guides are going to have a survival handbook counterpart. The other problem with that is that it's going to be a... Do I have this stream marked as, like, mature? I think about it every once in a while before I curse. But I think, you know what? It's going to be mature for a bit. The handbook is a bitch and a half. It sucks when you have to actually update information, because it's a run-on sentence JSON. You know, like, all this stuff. You know what I'm talking about, Vexus. You know exactly what I'm talking about here. Let's pull this up here. We need a visual instead of just, you know, a modder complaining here. We need a visual of how ass this is. Look at this. This is the old survival guide stuff here. Look at this. Big, huge, single line run-on sentence that keeps going and going and going. So the bigger your guide is, and then try and update something like this. Oh, by the way, you have to maintain JSON, you know, attributes. So if you put in, like, a quotation mark somewhere without a slash, you're done. Like, it won't load, you know? Like, it's done. Try and typo that out. Try and be descriptive. It's still going, everyone. It's still going. All of this. All of that. It's atrociously bad. Terrible. The worst. At least with my guidebook, I turned that long run-on sentence into different pages, right? Each page has its own key. So obviously we look and it's not nearly as long. So I think it's going to be more work on me. And the other part of all this is things aren't changing as much anymore, right? Like, magic is now magic. The grimoire system works. You know, the Nexus system, we kind of got it all here. I included more mouse over tooltips because people were confused as to, like, what some of the outputs were. right? Fair enough. Like, before I had, like, takes mana stone in here. I didn't necessarily tell you it made a mana torch, but I figured, you know, someone would throw in a mana stone, like, hey, what does this do? Oh, that makes mana torches. You know what I mean? But now it says, creates mana torches, right? There you go. Insert an essence lacrima, right? Moves essence between, in case you didn't get the fact that, you know, this button does this and this button does this, right? You know what I mean? Like, I'm expanding things here, right? Insert rusty nuts. Destroy items to create essence. I'm expanding. I'm listening to everyone. I'm expanding. I know this mod's complex, but I think that's what I'm... Oh, so right, I'm going to move a lot of these guides to handbooks, and then I'm going to keep this book, this guidebook. Instead of the beginner's guidebook to magic, I will say something like maybe like spell formulas, or, you know, I'll say something else, and then in here I will have like a tab for maybe like the Nexus, right? Or, you know what, better yet, not the Nexus, I will have a tab for like rituals, right? And it'll be a rituals tab, and then instead of all of this stuff here, I will have the patterns, like for world magic, right? I will have something very similar to this, right? I want, you know, this is Nexus Shift, right? I want Nexus Shift to be in the guidebook or in the handbook, so I can describe everything, right? It's going to be a big paragraph, right? And I'll have all this stuff here. And then if you need visual, you can go into this guidebook. I can make these pictures much bigger, right? And for something like this, I would probably have like the not like an overhead view per se, but more like a, you know, like a kind of up a little view, so you can see it kind of in 3D. And then another picture underneath with a grid. And in that grid, I will have different colored outlines, right? And the color, and I'd map it like orange is the Nexus. You know, white highlighted blocks are where the runes go, right? So it draws out the pattern in the grid, so then you get that visual as well. That's what's coming, I think. I think it sounds pretty good. I may be wrong. I've been wrong about the handbook stuff. I've been wrong about this guidebook. I'm hoping feedback comes in and people say, you know what, Vice? That sounds so much better. My God. I hit tier 2 today, but yeah, I'm a bit lost what my next steps are. I just used the sigil a few hours ago. Yeah, well, the thing is, like, when you unlock the tier 2 stuff, you probably got like a couple pops there saying like, hey, you've unlocked the life tap innate spell, right? You've unlocked the prisms, right? The transmog stones. You've unlocked spell duplication, right? The Bastion is still work in progress, so you don't have that. It's not even called the Bastion anymore. It's going to be the Mana Distillery. But Vol, the idea is, when you become tier 2, all of the previous systems are expandable, right? Now you can create new caps, right? So you can upgrade, you know, like instead of having your tier 1 caps, now you can upgrade to the tier 2 version, right? And now when you go in here, you'll have tier 1 stuff, and now you have new armor you can make. You have better conversions, right? I can start batch creating mana torches in here instead of trickle charge one by one here. You know, like you can start making like the holders, right? You can start making your first, like you can make the magic ward utility blocks. You know, you got utility blocks now. Your prism of duplication, right? You can get the new runic scroll too, and now you can start learning all the tier 2 spells that you could use in your spell forge to make more powerful grimoires, tier 2 grimoires. You know, you can make an arcane bag. If I were you, I would make these arcane bags because they are so good. I love my arcane bags. But you know what I mean? It's supposed to be a continuation, right? Now you can start duplicating spells, creating spell scrolls, right? Like everything gets expanded, and that's the progress that I want for the mod, right? Yeah. Not only that, like you can improve all of your mana, all of your essence generators. right? Because by now in tier 1, you should have, you know, an actual setup for these, right? You should have something down. You can have it doesn't matter what the block is, right? You should have your pillars here, right? And you should have your runestone caps on here, right? You should have that. That way, you know, your stuff is gonna generate things better, faster. Oh, you also, in tier 2, you also gain the essence lacrima. So now you can store a bunch of essence, more than 1,000, and then swap them. So if you put this light nexus down somewhere, and you're like, ah, crap, you know, I can't move it because if I break it, I lose all that essence, and it's like loaded with essence. You can now create an essence lacrima, pop it in here, store all of that essence into your lacrima, take it out, and now you can move this, destroy it, do anything, because you're not going to lose essence. And with this, now, it's resonating, and the essence flow is tripled, right? Because now I have the new thing. What does that mean? Generates it a lot faster than 1 every 30 seconds. Right? So you can be upgrading this stuff too. Which I think is something that people haven't been doing, because a lot of people are like, oh, you know, anything more than 1,000 essence, like it takes so long. And I'm like, have you been doing the upgrades to your Nexus? Because I guarantee you doing these upgrades, you know, like your essence generation becomes pretty crazy. That's why, you know, everything's more expensive, you know? So yeah, there's a lot of stuff, right? Honestly, I can't say I had a struggle with mana so far. Well, yeah, that's the other thing too. Like you know, the mod is going to be what you make it of. If you want to try and just level up really quickly, sure, burn all of your mana, sit and meditate, and then just spam transmutation or any other spell. Like magic experience is tied to the amount of mana spent. Doesn't matter if you cast 2 very high, like, powerful spells that drain your mana. It doesn't matter if you cast 20 transmutation. It's just going to take your time, you know, doing the other way. You can do that. Transmutation, you could do some stuff, but that's not really a fun way. Like, you need to be doing this kind of stuff, like, organically. Like, if you've been doing rituals, and you've been doing world magic, and you've been making things in synthesis, you are passively gaining mana experience more than you would just sitting, meditating till you're full, and then trying to spam, right? Because then you're going to break your staff. You're going to have to make another staff, right? You know what I mean? People are picking the slowest way to do that. Which it's fine. If you like a little torture, a little masochism, then go ahead. By all means, be my guest. But, all right, so let's start separating out the ritual altar. Let's get that out of the early game, early mod chain. So let's take a quick audit here for rituals. We got runestones, creating runestones. That is going to be moved over. Crystals. I want to find another use for these crystals. Gotta find another use for them. I think they are really cool. I want people to create lesser crystals at tier 1, right? Some kind of lesser crystal, and then have it be useful in, like, magic. You know what I mean? Like, some kind of use for it. I don't know what that use would be. Because it can't be anything here with, like, the light nexus, right? Because ideally, I have one of two things, right? It could either be... I could make it a catalyst for world magic, right? Instead of using, like, a mana torch for most things, like, maybe it could be these crystals. But that kind of defeats the purpose of the mana torch. I don't know. That's gonna be... It's going to be an interesting thing, because these were mainly the stabilizers, right? And I don't know, like, maybe rituals come at tier 2. You know, maybe that becomes a tier 2 thing. I don't know. I will definitely need some feedback there. First thing, though, let's Let's detangle. All right, let's detangle. We are going to start making some recipes. Some synthesis recipes. So we're going to need something for runestones, so I'm just going to kind of move this here. So... Dang, I got so many files in this hole. All right, recipes. Here we go. We will pull up a random recipe, because first thing I'm going to have to do is look at this part, the Oculus recipes. You know what I need to do? I totally forgot to do this. I need to reformat all of this here. I have things bunched up. I want things to bunched up be based on tier instead of the way it is right now. And I actually did that up here in the GUI. I think it kind of helps, you know, see like how many recipes do I have in each tier. So let's pull up the Oculus pedestal. Right here. Really? Eventually, once we're done with tier 2, you'll need a temporal storm to interact with some magic stuff. So I hope everyone's ready. Hold on to your dookie. It's about to get spooky. So really, I can copy all of this. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. Oculus recipes. Let's pop this right out. So we're going to have the tier 1, 2, 3, and 4 grimoires, right? Knew it. I knew this would get me, so let me just copy that, replace with nothing in the selected area. Here we go. Format all of this. All right. So I will say tier 1. So we'll have the runic scroll. We'll have these stations, and let's cross-check it. All right, so runic scroll, nexus, ritual altar. That ritual altar may end up disappearing. The more I'm thinking about it, the more I feel like it would make sense to bring in the ritual altar on like tier 2, just because by then you should have synthesis down, right? And you should have the whole essence system. If I feel like tier 2, we can open up the ritual altar and all those rituals, kick it down a little bit. Maybe make them a little more powerful. I'm definitely on board with making it more powerful magic. But yeah, I think this has to become tier 2. I'm gonna cut that out, and we will we'll paste it right down here. So we got our Oculus pedestals. We got our armor. Oh, that's right. I made it to where you can make rusty gears. I'm so generous. I'm so generous. Wait, what is the rusty gear recipe? Have I balanced that? I think I have. But I haven't seen it for a long time. Is it balanced? Rusty gear. Let's take a look here. Oh, it just takes temporal frag. Oh yeah, that's balanced, I think. That's balanced. Alright, so that's all the tier 1 stuff. Tier 2. Tier 2. Copy that. Oh, I was gonna make that bastion, that's right. So this will be tier 2. Paste it all in, select it all. 42 occurrences. Perfect. Now we got the runic scrolls station. So this is where I would want to put the ritual altar. Cut that out, paste it in. Tier 2, any essence. Here we go. Instead of bastion, so I was thinking for the multi-block structure of I'm trying to think what the mana distillery looks like. And I don't know if I'm going to make it 1 or 2 core blocks. Not sure. Not sure. I'm trying to think what it here. Let's go into another world. Because if I can just start making, like, if I'm going to have to make recipes anyways, making them in a batch all at once is going to save me time. Delicious. Got a text message here. I'm not sure how long I have. Okay. Wait, this isn't the world I wanted to go into. Damn it. This is it. The creative world. Creative world. Hold on 1 second. There we go. All right. So I guess I could go over what I have so far for the mana distillery. So basically, you'll have your main block. I like the idea of having this be like a mana vault, kind of. There have been a lot of times when, like, mana, the way you generate it, it costs temporal stability. And when you die, you lose all your mana, right? So there have been a lot of times when I'm like, you know what? I would love to just... It reminds me of that Minecraft mod with, like, the experience, like, bottle bucket thing, right? So you have like 40 levels of Minecraft, and you can store all of that experience in your experience jar block, right? And then like divvy it back out, right? But it was like your vault. And I want to make this system something like that, but with mana. So I have an item right now. This right here, right? Let's pull out this, and this. Alright, so a basic item that you can use, and when you use it, you can slowly convert your mana points you have, and then store them into this item, right? And then I would come over to this item, right-click on it, like, pop the ball in, and it would store all of my mana. And then from there, I can then use mana potions. I can make mana potions out of it. Right? That way I can use my mana again in a burst when I need it. And the neat part about this is even a tier 1 mage will be able to contribute, because, like, what if I want someone to pay me in the mana cost for whatever the spell is, like another mage? Like, hey, give me 30 mana, you know, like a potion with 30 mana in it, plus a couple blocks, and I'll give you this scroll of run speed, or you know what I mean? Whatever it is. Right? So it's the system that I think is going to work for, like, you know, having my version of a mana potion. And then any unused potion, you should be able to just put back into your distillery and then drain that back in. You know what I mean? So that way you're like, oh, you know what? I got like 21 or 20 mana points left in this, you know, 50 maximum mana point, you know, lesser... you know, the small mana vial, right? I could put that back in, it can pull it back out. It's already been processed, so there's not going to be like a loss or anything, right? But I have like a neat little like mana potion system that's not tied to alchemy. I didn't want... because, you know, people are going to be like, well, this, you know, this is kind of dumb that you have to use 2 plants, and what if I can't find those plants? And it's, you know, it's a crappier form of the alchemy mod. It's like, this isn't an alchemy mod. This is a magic mod, right? So I think this is a pretty good... I just don't know what it should look like. I don't know if I should have more than 1 block, like a distillery, and then like a storage vat, and, you know, like a 3-block system. I don't want to make it too complex. I do still like this kind of pattern. Like, I want it to be a multi-block structure. I just don't know what that structure... I don't know what it should look like. I guess is really what it is. By the way, just in general also for the others here, is there anything specific you gotta do for rust blooms to grow during winter? Besides 2 in my base of 40, none grew. There shouldn't be anything specific you have to do. Rust blooms are a special plant. They don't care about like lighting or anything like that. It just takes time. What you can do to make your rust blooms grow faster is to have them by a rift. And if you use the ritual system, you can force spawn rifts within the area, you know, of certain strengths. So I don't know if a lot of people use that, but it quadruples the grow speed of these. So like you got your farm, right? And you'll have your ritual altar, and you spawn a rift. These things here, a rift is affecting a nearby plant. Your plants will start to like have particle effects, and at this point, it's going to take 1/4 the time as it's ticking. It's like a ×4 multiplier for the time. So yeah. The system sounds interesting. Yeah, that's where I'm baffled. Over 5 months of winter. They really didn't want to grow, most of them. Might grow and replant them. Yeah, maybe. For all I know, there may be an issue with, because chances are you got them covered with snow. I'm not sure how the transient system works in the game, because that's what I'm piggybacking off of. Maybe the fact that they could be snow covered stops the transient system from ticking, you know, in the base game. Not really sure. It's not something I tested, but... Boop. So I guess all of that being said, right, I have no idea. You know, I'll just add the stuff later. Let's just make these synthesis recipes. Delicious. Alright, we are back into this. So, instead of Station Bastion, it's going to be a Mana Distillery. So I'll move the Ritual Altar to Tier 2. Then we'll have to give that a little revamp-a-rooney. Station, Prism of Duplication. I think I'll make a layer above the blooms to spawn a rift atop. Hopefully that should be near enough. It depends on, you know, the ritual that you're doing. I know the Tier 4 ritual has ridiculous range. It spawns like a huge rift. Yeah, I mean, it's just a proximity thing. Wherever the point is of the rift, so like wherever the point is of your altar, I think go up 1 block, and that's where I force spawn the rift. And then it's a circular kind of thing, right? You know, like when it does its checks, like what's around it. Yeah, what happens is I take the rift strength. So if it's a strength of 3, it goes like 1, 2, 3 blocks out, and then it's like a square around it. If it's a strength of like 5, 6, 7, 8, just count that many blocks out. And then that's going to be your range of effect for these rift blooms. And again, you'll be able to tell because they will have their particles, and then the mouse over tooltip will say that it's being affected by a nearby rift. Boop. Alright, let's keep moving things. So we got the Mana Distillery. Anything else here? We have the Scroll of Binding. Got the old magician's staff. We got all the magic armor. We got the arcane magic chalk. That's right. Bulk rusty gears. You could start making temporal gears. Bulk mana torches. Alright, so I think that's everything there. Let's look at the next thing, which is tier 3. Yeah, see, tier 3 is a little light because I didn't add all the extra recipes in there. Tier 3. Copy all of this, find, replace. Make sure, look at my text messages. Right, so we got the mana torch, we have the essence vault, a couple more utility blocks. Yeah, tier 3 I haven't really made a lot for. It's just like a continuation of all the other stuff. And then tier 4 is going to be the same. So let's do tier 4. Pop all of that in. Replace selected. Perfect. I'm debating on if I should have these gateways up. They're really close to like a couple other people's mods, and I don't know. We'll have to see what tier 4 turns into. We'll have to see. So this should be all of the stuff here. So I'm gonna start commenting things out because all of this should be duplicates down here. Yep, right up to here. And then we got all of this. Duplicates. Ah, the bracelets. You know what? We will comment those out as well. Not yet, actually. We'll leave those. Eventually, I will make, you know, actual armor. With, like, you know, stats. But for now, these are the placeholders. And let's save. I'm going to have to stop the game because I'm modifying an enum while the game is running. Not going to be happy. There we go. So we have no more squiggle lines of doom. Might as well label this Grimoires. Build. Taking its time. There we go. Successful. That's what I want to say. Okay, now let's start adding stuff in, right? So the first thing is going to be... I should probably have like a block section here. So we got our stations, and then I would have utilities, and then like regular blocks or items, right? So down here... I will say probably just like runestone. This would have to be a lesser runestone. Or tool staff apprentice. I could do runestone lesser. This will be tier 1. I will allow you to use any essence. Go. I don't think I need this up anymore. I don't need that up. We'll get rid of that. We'll get rid of that. Really, I think this is the only thing we need to look at right now. Right, so we got that runestone there. We will have the other one. So I will put it right before the tools, right after any kind of utility blocks. So this would be greater. Greater. And I will actually put in block for the name. So we're going to have to put it in tier 3 as well. So... Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I can't do that. How can I have players create runestone? Shoot. Because I just thought, oh, well, okay, I put this in tier 2. You have to get the caps. Well, how do you get the caps before you can get the cap? You know what I mean? How do you do that? How do you do that? Okay. It's all coming together now. Right? I could still make it to where you have to make this through synthesis. It's not a bad idea putting this in. But it's not the idea that I should be going for. Let me comment this out. All right. We got to do a little playing here. Figure this crap out. All right. It's a good thing I organized stuff, or else I would have went down a rabbit hole. Let's fire up the game. Hop into our world. See, this works because, you know, why don't I just make it like something you make in World Magic? I could make runestone blocks something specific that you make with World Magic. Not rituals, but World Magic. Right, so let's remove this. So you just start off the game. This is what your setup will look like. Those are going to be your caps. Here's an idea. I kind of like the idea of keeping like tier 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of stuff. I like the idea of the... I think I have two conflicting ideas here. I like the fact that for Arcanus, you have a block, right? Here, let's get rid of some of this stuff. There we go. Right, so I like the idea that you have like an item, and then you have a block version of it. Right, so you got Arcanus, and then you got a runestone. What if... And I think this is what's getting me, right? So I have this conversion, and then I'm labeling, since our Arcanus is tier 1, then the lesser runestone block has tier 1 Arcanus in it. What if I make runestone blocks more generic? Like it's this, instead of an engraved mana stone, maybe this could be the tier 1 runestone. Instead of something like this. Right? It's gonna have to change, right? I have to figure out tier 2, 3, and 4. But I'm kind of wondering if like the rune stones kind of this is my obstacle right now. How do you make this? I could have it to where, you know what? Maybe the easiest solution is just sticking with like the lesser runestone block. Maybe having world magic. So let's find a flat place. Let's make a flat place. Perfect. He's magic! So maybe I could make it to where you kind of place this down, right? You draw some runes around it. Because, like, I just need to take this out of rituals. I think this would be the easiest thing to do. Where's my magic chalk? Here we go. Right, and then you do whatever the pattern is that I pick, you know. I don't know. I just, like, made that, right? You know, something like that. You would have your... I don't know. Whatever, right? Whatever this world magic looks like. And then maybe, you know, you'd throw your stuff out. I cast Transmutation on that, and it creates the block. Right? just another kind of world magic, because you're already going to be doing world magic to change your nexus into other things. Let's take a look at that book. Take a look at that. I don't know. Let's take a look at that. And I'm open for ideas too. We got some people watching here. This is now's the time to get me the ideas. Like, if it sounds good, be like, hey, yeah, that sounds pretty good. It sounds simpler. If it sounds like dog crap, let me know. You got an opinion, let me know. Ah, you see that, Vexus? Chips! He's always got chips. Kind of hungry. See, I figured I'd take a chip break. Give people time. I know everyone's out there. They're all typing me an essay right now. Well, Vice. Yeah. Hands out. Give. Give me now. Yeah, because I could totally make world magic. My thing is, like, I don't like how static the rituals are. You know, you need like a dedicated 9x9 area. And for some of this stuff, it doesn't make sense, right? Like, I could still have it to where it needs only light mana torches, right? If I'm doing a, like, creation kind of world magic. You know, I could have it maybe like dark magic, right? Like to make charcoal, right? Like I could have it to where instead of like being in a ritual, maybe I have like a stack of firewood here. And then you put all this stuff around, right? And then you could transmute that stack of firewood into, you know, raw charcoal at maybe a reduced rate than you would like get, you know, by burning. Because it takes no time at all, right? To just set something up. That way there's more world magic, and I'm kind of... It gives me the ability to, like, give rituals their own identity, right? Like, growing crops and stuff. Like, I have some rituals when I figure it out to where it makes it rain or gets rid of rain in like, the area, since weather's, like, localized, you know? I have another one where I want to create, like, a forest. You know, I still have, like, for the creation rituals, I still have, like, the upheaval spell, right? Or, you know, creating caves beneath, or whatever it may be. Got a lot of things I still want to add. I think this is what we're gonna have to do. That's my thought. I'm gonna have to come up with a new pattern. That looks like garbage. Well, that's crap. I don't know, maybe... Hey, maybe something like that. This could be world magic, creation world magic here. It's a pattern! Like it. Still so cool. Oh, you mean, so this, what you're saying is this right here, I should have all the manipulation spells? Oh, you mean world, or, oh, you mean rituals? I'm rambling a bit, so. Rambling a little bit. You know what? I could... Oh, like controlling the rain, upheaval, and stuff. Yeah, that's what I envisioned rituals being, right? More like world manipulation, right? Grimoires are the casting spells with your staff, right? Synthesis is my version of getting rid of the crafting table. I think it's kind of cheap, you know, doing things, but also with the crafting system in game, I had a problem where how does a mage, right? Like a tier 1 mage, how can I prevent them from making a tier 4 awesome haste staff? You know what I mean? Like, how do I restrict those kind of recipes in a meaningful way without adding and subtracting traits onto your character, you know? So this is, and I think it's more fun, you know, being able to throw in the portal, right? Linking things up. I like it. Yeah. Yo, weatherman, Vice. I can be a weatherman. All right, right now it's gonna rain today. People hear the thunder. Synthesis is pretty darn neat so far. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I thought it was neat too. I'm like, that's how a magician should make items, right? That's how. And honestly, I was expecting more people to be like, hey, can you have it to where I can make whatever the items are in Synthesis? Like, yeah, let's throw the recipes in. So far it's mainly just for like magic stuff. All right, I think for the Synthesis recipes, how about I don't add the Synthesis recipe for the runestones? I may still do it, but maybe I could do it like kind of like everything else, right? Like maybe at first you that would be the perfect thing, right? At first you have to create 4 of the runes, right? 4 of the runestones by doing world magic to get your caps, and then from there you can make it easier with Synthesis to make more of your caps. I think that'd be a pretty good one. I think that'd be pretty good. I obviously don't know tiers 2 through 4 yet, but personally, the placing down, rinse, repeat for Arcanus gets a bit repetitive. You could do that in bulk. So Vol, if you and it's configurable too. Like, it's configurable to where you can do like a batch of 32 at once. You just got to look in the configs and change it. I think by default it does 4 at a time. So if you throw down here, let's right, pop this down, do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right? And let's throw out a bunch of those. There we go, 64. Yeah, you could throw out a lot, right? Like, and depending on your tier, like, you become better. Like, right now, I'm a tier 4 mage, so I can convert Lesser Arcanus at a much higher rate. So, boom! So I just converted all of those, and I got a stack of 32 Arcanus, because it takes 2 of the fragments per 1 Arcanus. Yeah, default is 4, and I get 2. Refresh your configs. Look to see what your configs have. Because at one point, 2 was the default. So go into your configs, change it, or delete the old config and have the new. And you will get that 4 in there. Because it is a lot easier having these in batches of 4. I don't think I need to sell anyone on that. And if you feel like 4 is too little and you want to just make 16 at a time or 32 at a time, anything, I have the maximum as 32. Anything above that is like untested. You may be able to do like 128, right? Like it, and then you could throw out 2 full stacks and you can get a whole stack of 64 Arcanus, or, you know, whatever it is. Like, I just haven't tested it, so if something breaks, I just don't want to hear it. It's basically what it is. Low on dust, low on strings, made a boiler room, so I have a lot of fragments. Oh yeah? Yeah, the fragments are... I'm trying to find their place for fragments in this mod. It's like a... You know, you got 8 elements, and the idea is... you know what I think the big problem is? I put in the elemental system too early in the mod to begin with. You know, like, at first, like, having it be, like, stabilizers, and it needs to be the same kind of, like, you know, like, little fragment here, you know what I mean? Like, using these, they look cool. I want people to have a use for them other than just, like, looking. But I think that needs to get redesigned next. Because Tier 3 is when you become, like, a frost mage or a fire mage or whatever it is. But tiers 1 and 2, these crystals don't have any real meaning. Well, I guess tier 2 it starts to, right? Because that's how you can convert the grimoire into, you know, a new kind of elemental grimoire. But maybe do you think to make a temporal fragment, do you think it would make sense to use there we go, to use like the elemental fragments here? So let's pull out some stuff. Let me, while I'm asking, no, not blood crystals, not ghost crystals. Here they are, impure. Here we go. And let's get some of this and some of this, right? GM1. You weren't that hurt. don't give me that. Oh wait, I'm starving to death. Wait, where's my admin block? Where'd that admin block go? Weird. I may have broke it. Reason to get upset. Alright, I'll put the admin block right there. There we go. Let's get rid of that pesky hunger. Burp, burp, burp. Alright, now this is what I want to do. Maybe I should make it to where you have to use some fragments as well. That way it lessens the amount of rusty dust and shifting fibers you need, right? Kind of balances out a little bit. Because early on, right, you get all these fragments, and if I'm going to move rituals up to tier 2, maybe I should make it to where, like, any fragments you get can kind of, you know, who knows, it could even maybe be something. Kind of play with it a little here. Here, let me get rid of the stacks, right? I don't know. Like 4 rusty dust to like 2 shifting fibers, and then using 2 fragments of some kind. I kind of want something in the middle. Is that wrong? Like I want like a focal point. Maybe a single one? Yeah, I have no use for the fragments at all. Just used up a chest and ignore them so far. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of noticed that when playing too. I'm like, I got these fragments. Like, what they could be used for is making the offhand focus. And they're used for creating the crystals for stabilizing rituals. So maybe something like that. Maybe just a singular fragment in the middle. 2 fragments feels too much. Yeah, because you're not guaranteed to get the fragment, right? You're not guaranteed to get them. Grind up the fragments. Do a line of fragments. Hey, Danger Toy. Embrace the power of the Grand Wizardry. Yeah, you get high on your fragments first, right? Well, that's the first thing you're not supposed to do. Don't get hung up on your own supply, right? But it's magic, man. I just need another hit. Having them a bit cheaper, with the sides being empty, and just the middle lesser fragment. Well, the thing is, you may not have noticed, but I did in the recent update. I didn't broadcast it out loud, but it was in the change notes. Before, Rusty Dust drop rate wasn't that good. It wasn't the drop rate it was supposed to be. I've increased that. So now when you cast Transmutation on a plant, you can get up to 3 Rusty Dust per plant. So that's why I have more Rusty Dust, because the idea is I want mages to make out a little better, because Rusty Dust is the valuable thing. The shifting fibers, not so much. Right? Unless you want to make carpets, right? So non-magic players, right? Because I got to think of the balance here with you know, the utility blocks. There we go. So regular non-magic users can use a utility block, right? Because all they have to do is go to their local friendly mage and trade for one. Right, so we'll put that down, Right, so being a magic user, we should know how to just harvest the Rusty Dust off without a complete reset of the plant. When you use the knife, I mean, it's going to take like a good 4 or 5 in-game days to have that plant mature enough to where you get more Rusty Dust, right? So it's good for a trickle charge for a regular player who just wants to apply it directly to, you know, power their home devices. But us mages, right, we can prune the plant back a little bit, you know, reset it to halfway through, and then maybe only wait every 2 days instead of every 5 to get a burst more Rusty Dust. That's the idea that I had with it. Right now I have 2 stacks of Rusty Dust, 12 fibers, 3 stacks of temporal fragments. Over 2.5 of them were farmed. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing too. Like there's definitely balance that needs to get done, and it's these conversations that like help with figuring out what that balance is. First thing I think we need to do is make it to where these fragments that you get, and you know what this means? If I move rituals to a tier 2 thing, I don't need impure elemental crystals anymore. You know, I don't need this. If anything, I can just set it to where, like, okay, well, you break these unstable crystals here, and you have, like, just the regular chance of having it convert into one of these elements, right? And you get a fragment. Because you don't need this for rituals, because by the time you're tier 2, you can already make, you know, whatever the stabilizer is going to be. You know, just in pure crystal form. You don't have to have these flat tire things that have like a 50% rate of like imploding on themselves. Right? See, look, I just dropped one. Hooray! I'm getting really lucky. There we go. Right? So I can retweak some of this stuff here. Be funny if you could just eat dust. What do you want, the diarrhea effect? Let me go out to, you know, some junked old farm equipment with a knife and scrape off some dust and eat it. I need you to do some research for me. Tell me how it affects you. Do you feel good? I'm bleeding. I'm missing some chat here. Monsters I forgot to add. From monsters I forgot to add. Yeah. The thing is, like, you get a lot of, there are different avenues, right, depending on how you want to play. Monsters drop things, you know, you can harvest directly from rifts. I mean, that gives you like a burst of things. I kind of wish there was a life cycle to these, because then I could balance them better, right? These get like so many grows or whatever, right? And then you gotta like break the plant and get the seed, and you know what I mean? Like farming, you know? Like maybe these would be better off being more like farming things, where instead of getting a sprout, I just give you like the rift seeds, and then you can cultivate it. But, you know, a lot of this stuff, it's, you know, gonna take, I have a lot of ideas and they're all conflicting, so I need help filtering which ones are actually worth it. Exchange a mushroom with local hedge wizard. Receive unfathomable universal bottled secrets in exchange. All he did was just scrape some of the rusty dust off of his boots from that morning when he tended to his Riftbloom fields. Put a little cow manure in there, right? A little wolf poop, and mixed it up. Here you go. If you want the full effect, you got to eat it right here in front of me while I watch. Tee, you know. I'd love if we maybe have something transmutables for the strings. Hurt can cut them down for fibers. Hurts? What do you mean? I don't know what you mean by that. For the strings? Like, so you want shifting fibers? I don't know what you mean. Oh, you mean have something where transmutation drops shifting fibers? Maybe that's what you mean? Force, it would be funny. You can eat dust. Force reduced stability outside of storms. Force reduced stability outside of storms. I still don't know what you mean by... I don't know what you guys mean by any of this. Give them a negative effect and lose hunger. Give who? Oh, wait, for, okay. Yeah, for eating rusty dust. Get tinnitus. Oh, I could just imagine. You know what? You do get tinnitus from my old version of the mod, right? All the sound stops when you're around Riftblooms. And then whoever has real tinnitus, it starts to set in, right? You start to hear the... All right. Could we convert extra blooms into strings, maybe, via crafting recipes, maybe? Oh, so you're talking about taking a sprout and, like, butchering it? Like one of those little guys, and then just killing it for strings? That's not a bad idea. If I keep this current system, what do we think about making these seeds? Like having a seed instead of a sprout. And then I can have a couple stages of growth that way. And then I can just make it to where, depending on how you harvest it... I don't know. Am I going too far with it, or... Do you guys really like the fact that you got your 3 stages? You can drop these, right? And then you butcher the sap. But how much do you really get from cutting up a sapling, right? Right now I cut down a fully grown, a rusty bloom instead of transmuting it. Just feels bad because they have to full regrow. Well, yeah, that's part of it, right? That's why the strings are, and like I said, that's the rub for non-magic users. They have to cut this thing down to get the rusty dust to power their stuff, right? To get the string to make their carpets or whatever they want to decorate with it, you know? Like a non-magic user is, you know, they see this plant as a pretty plant. It could be decent defense, right? If a creature runs through it, that's not a locust or a drifter, they can get hurt. It's minor damage, but it's still defense. You know, I'm trying to think like the loop, right? I want people to get excited that there's a rift, right? Like, oh, let's try and do some conversions, right? Let's try and get some fragments, right? Let's try and do some of that kind of stuff. But at the same time, if I make it to where it adds seeds, then a seed is just basically a sprout, right? Like, that's basically all it is. I don't know. What should we do? I'm relying on everyone right now. We got people talking. Should we keep that little sprout? Maybe make it to where you can open up a recipe here. Let's do GM1. Maybe you get some extra sprouts and you can put the sprout in itself and get, I don't know, burst of stuff. Full single player. I'd be worried if someone else's harvests my blooms. I want to see an animal transformed by the rift. Vexus, that is coming. I can absolutely do that. I have some code written to change out entities that are close by and affect them. So, because my thought was I want to have elemental type rifts. So like instead of just the rust rift like we have, like maybe it could be a corrupt fire rift. And then entities like drifters and stuff that come from it would be fire themed. You know, like drifters and entities. I was thinking more along the lines like if anyone's ever played the old MMO Rift, where it's like, you know, the fire rift would open and it would like start changing the world around it, right? Like the grass becomes like the flame grass and, you know, the creatures are coming out, getting a foothold in. I think that'd be pretty neat. Hard to balance, but pretty neat. Sprout with a knife, 1 fiber. Fully grown plants drop an extra sprout. Easier with stones, I'd say. At a certain point, you have your local flowers pretty much cut down. You are somewhere. There aren't many flowers to begin with. Okay, I'm missing some stuff here. Yeah, because that's the other thing, too. I did want to make a spell that kind of grew random flowers in an area. That's actually what Reap originally was going to try and do. But I went a different direction with that. But I was thinking I could also make it like world magic, because yeah, eventually eventually you do run out of plants, you know? But the world's pretty big. But you can run out of plants. It's a tough one. Tough one. All right, we're talking about corrupt creatures and everything. We're talking about corrupt creatures. We're not there yet. Let's try and get this Rift Bloom situation done, right? Let's get that going. So what I'm hearing here is having the sprouts is good, right? So we get the Rift, you get the sprouts, you start making your own farm. Eventually, you have all the sprouts you want, and then you'll have a surplus, right? Your farm will only probably be so big before you want to start getting like a burst of materials. So, but it's got to be enough material to where you don't want to just never have a farm and you want to just butcher the Rift Bloom, you know, the sprout itself. So how do you butcher a Rift Bloom sprout? I could make a crafting grid recipe. Or maybe you take this and then pop a knife in there, and then it cuts it into... Like, maybe each one of these gives you 2 shifting fibers. See, the problem is, if I have something like this, I can only have it produce 1 item. This is why... needs to be able to cut up flowers, plants into seeds. So you won't eventually be forced to move out super far and can be a botanist. That is a good idea, Vexus. How would something like that work? Because I do feel like this is closer to what I want, but we're not quite there yet. Maybe I should redesign this a little bit so Rift Blooms give seeds. Maybe I should have it to where I just realized I'm not in creative anymore. I shouldn't be doing jumps like that. I'm gonna get hurt. What if I do something like that? Right, because I could make seeds. What if I come up with alternate ways to make seeds? What if making seeds is a world magic thing? No, because I still would want... I want you to get Rift Blooms from the Rust, you know, the Rust world. So I would have to create a way for you to make flowers. So you could be a botanist. Did a rift really open up, like, right in there? Really? Really? I don't know, I could make world magic. You know, to where, like, in an area it can, like, spawn grass and a chance at a random flower or two. You know, like wild growth or something, right? Call it something like that. I could make it a spell, but I feel like that'd be not a good spell. Find it nice if we can make them... what does a wizard need to have? Little mushroom-infused wood golem to grow mushrooms on, right? Otherwise, maybe transmuting a fully grown ones also gives 1 fiber max. Maybe chance. I mean, I could do that if that would help. I could have it to where, you know, that's not a bad idea. Have it to where there's a chance per, like a 50% chance to drop 1 shifting fiber as well. So you could get 1 to 3. So a wizard would be able to get, like a mage, right? I could get 1 to 3 rusty dust per hit with a chance of getting an additional fiber drop. But then should it reset the plant back to sapling? Like, should I make it to where it's like, okay, so you break it with a knife, you get maybe 1 or 2 dust and like 1 or 2 fibers. Should I have it to where, you know what I mean? Like, how should it work? Balance is the name of the game here. Better enhance, if we can make them better, enhance them with rust magic further. So they get better, faster, growing more rewards. They'll have like another type of... I'm surprised that was suggested, considering how I get a lot of size too when I try to divvy out like the spells, and it's like, oh, there are 3 versions of this. You know, like, would it be too confusing for people to have like multiple versions of Rift Blooms? Like, I don't know. I did have a Rustweed as something I wanted to put into, like a second kind of plant to like break it up so it's not just all Rift Blooms. Plotting soil, rusty dirt to plant them. Send you something via DM. Discord. I was gonna say, where's the window gonna be? There we go. Oh man. Really, oh, that looks good. I am so jelly. I want that creature. I want it. I want it. That's awesome. You make more than 3 stages, maybe reset down to the 2nd stage, so it's not full on resetting, but rewards wizards. Well, I could also, we got to think of it this way, right? So I can set different time periods between different stages. You know, so like I have 3 right now, right? I have the sprout, which turns into... There we go, right? So we got the sprout. We got this guy, right? Which is just the regular Rift Bloom. And then you got the Rusty Rift Bloom, right? The full grown. I mean, I could do something like... Let's go over here. Grab that. So what if I had like a seed version, right? And then a sprout. Right, so there'd be like progression. You know what, let's get a... Let's see. So I think I could just like plant this, right? There we go. Right, so maybe you plant it. Right, so, I mean, would this make sense to get like seeds? and then grow it. But see, I feel like the seed isn't needed. Like, this is an unnecessary step if you're getting clippings from a rift anyways. And then you're just growing, right? That's why you can't produce more of this without a rift and converting flowers and hopefully getting a chance to get your clipping. I could have another step in here. Maybe going from this stage to this stage, right? To where it's like maybe like a tiny, like instead of a sprout, I could call it a clipping or something, right? And then you kind of put that in the ground. You would get that from the rift, right? And then it becomes like it sprouts and takes hold. Like, you know what I mean? I can deal with the days here a little differently. Like maybe this part takes a day, right? And then from there, maybe this part takes a day, but this could be like the full-grown plant. Let me put on... maybe cropping it down, infuse them with elements. I do have an idea, but again, right, infusing them with elements? Like, you're talking about the plants still, right? Wind Thunder Infuse has faster growth time, Fire Infuse drop more dust. It's a balance game. That's the only problem here. How do you balance it to where one type of fragment is not the best? One or two types of fragment is not the best. And I do have, like, I have it disabled, but I did have the idea of having elemental versions. But is that going to be, again, is that going to be too much for people? I think this right here, having this, and this is pretty simple, pretty easy, right? You get this from a rift. You can plant them down. They don't really take anything special, right? You can put that, as long as it's some kind of fertile soil, they'll just kind of grow. Cutting this down gives only a couple fibers. Cutting this down gives the rusty dust and fibers, right? What if I make it to where you cast transmutation on this? Maybe that can be like cutting it down, but I can increase the growth rate and the drop rates. Like, I feel like we're branching off into different directions here, right? And this isn't even what we're trying... This is what we're trying to focus on here. Removing the rituals, but I think we need to focus on the balance of this stuff too, right? And all this started because we were trying to focus on the fragment of fire, right? Or having fragments. So GM2. Sorry, no, these are good conversations, but I also want to get this. I want you to be able to use up your fragments, right? Want you to use up your fragments, and I want to take some of the cost out of this, right? Because right now, pop that in. There we go. I think this is currently what it takes to make a temporal fragment. I think it costs too many shifting fibers. So we could reduce that down. The rusty dust with the new drop rate of like transmuting it and getting 3 and then having it reset to wait like another like what 1 to 2 days to get another per plant. I think that's pretty darn good, right? It's just this fiber cost was kind of, I knew it was potentially going to be a problem because to get fiber you have to actually cut the plant down and reset it back to its like infant stage, and then you're waiting like 3 or 4 in-game days, But the other side of this is you wait 1/4 the time if you have these around rifts. Like these do grow faster, and I don't think anyone is utilizing that aspect of these plants. Would be fine. Yeah, agree on the fiber cost, yeah. Would be fine if a transmute has 50% chance, maybe even 25%, Yeah, to drop, like, so if I cast Transmutation on this, there's like a 1 in 4 or like a 25% or 50% chance to also drop a shifting fiber. That's not a bad idea. But what, like, does that mean, like, should I just have it to where it drops 1? You know, like, and instead of like 1 to 3, right? Maybe casting Transmutation on these drops them to 50%, or not, drops like 1 to 3 Rusty Dust, and then it drops 1 Shifting Fiber. But then, is it too broken if you just go right back to the Rift Bloom stage and then just wait a little bit? Or should I have it to where it goes back down to this stage? You know what I mean? Should I have the drop yields greater, and then just have it to where it's the equivalent of a knife and it cuts it right down to a little sapling? And at that point, is this stage right here, this Rift Bloom stage, is it even necessary? About the Rift process, personal experience, I did try it with a Rift. Placed them down properly. When it was gone, they didn't even go up a stage, felt bad, as they haven't changed even a single stage. Well, it reduces the time, right? So if it takes like 2 days, you know, unless that Rift is staying up for a quarter of the day to make it go, it still ticks in the background. Yeah, well, that's the problem, right? Necessary to see progress. So do I make a lot of little versions of this and have it to where, you know, I don't know. I don't know how that's supposed to look. There'd be more stages of this, and then this is the full-grown plant. And then but that's kind of a waste itself too, you know? The problem is, these are not seeds. These are not plants like that. These are a little more basic. So should these be redesigned in a way to where it's like an onion? And it's got like so many stages of growth, and you can see your little plant kind of growing with the stages. Does it give you the warm fuzzies to see stage 1, stage 2, you know? Like, I'm not sure. I don't know. Because if that's the case, then I have to redesign the plant in a way where it would use stages. Because it doesn't do that right now. Oh, duh. So should I have it be like a seed? Would you get Rift Bloom seeds? And then I can put in like a whole growth stage thing. But the problem is, like, how much time? Like, is this too much fluff? Like, does it make sense to have a seed stage? I didn't think it made sense to have anything more than maybe, you know, at first, the first idea was the fact that you would just get a Rift Bloom directly from the Rift, and then you would plant it down, and then 4 days, this becomes this, and you could either harvest this, right? And then that's where this came from, right? You harvest this down, you can get just shifting fibers. If you wait, you can get rusty dust and shifting fibers because it resets it. Understand, maybe then that's a waste of development time. Well, we're trying to treat it like a crop, right? Like these onion seeds. You spend all of that time and you can luck out and get an extra seed or two, right? When you harvest it. Which then you can expand your farm with. This, I want you to rely on a rift. You know, like you need to be converting something to get the clippings, right? Maybe instead of a Rift Bloom sprout, it could be like a Rift Bloom clipping or something. You make a seed stage. The thing that kind of supports in this idea, how do you harvest the plant? Via knife, right? So you can cut it up and harvest the seed. Well, yeah, I mean, right? You would probably cut it with a knife, and then you would get the seed back, and then you'd have to replant it. Like this right here is less steps. It's less growth steps because you have 1, 2, 3. And the other fact is, we were keeping in mind transmutation brings this down to this step, right? I can increase the output, right? The rewards for transmutation to where it at least levels it out back to a sprout. And then it's really the time it takes to grow from this to this that could be readjusted. Like, there's nothing that says I can make this take only a couple hours if I want, like 4 in-game hours to go from this to the next growth cycle. Coffee, wizard has to digest and excrete seeds, turn them into arcane. What do you think, Danger Dog? What do you think the bowels of a mage are? Like, their poop is magic. But yeah, there's some things to think about. Yeah. I mean, we went from... You realize I've been live streaming for almost 2 hours, and I didn't get anything done. Like, there's been nothing at all done. Nothing's been finalized because we've been talking about, like, this stuff. Like, I do want to fix this, but temporal fragments, right? Like, can we agree? We had good discussions, but I'm going to be doing stuff off stream here, so let's go back into here. Can we agree that, let's just say this is a fragment, right? This is a fragment. You put a fragment in, 2 shifting fibers, and some rusty dust. Makes a temporal fragment. Does that make sense? Agree. Alright, we got one. We got one. I mean, I could make a seed stage. Is that what we want? Do we want this to be like an actual crop plant? Should you have to water these, right? Because that's the other side of it. Like, I got a watered down, literally, version of this plant. This doesn't require sunlight. It's not affected by the seasons or cold or anything. It needs basic soil to attach to. Put the sprout down. You know, they're not affected by, like, anything like that. They just literally take time. Should I redesign that? Should you put flowers down, they convert into the unstable ones, and then as you break them, maybe you get a seed instead of a sprout. And then you can place that seed down on the ground like a tree, and then you wait for the growth cycle of the tree. Maybe this is fine, and I just need to add a tooltip so it's similar to a tree seed. Right? Because that tells you how many days it's going to take until it's good to go. Right? So let's get like an oak seed. Right? We'll sprout in about a day, right? So maybe I can do a similar thing, right? So you'll get seeds from the rift, right? Killing the, like, breaking the unstable rift blooms. You plant the seed down. It takes about a day, you know, just kind of chilling there. There we go. Right? And then we'll mature in, and then I have whatever the time is for the days. But maybe that is my... Of course this grew. See? So many days and they grow. So imagine that turned into this. Right? So you add your little mound, and then bam. And then it will say, will mature in about 2 days, or whatever it is, right? I don't know. Is this stage needed? Should I have it to where this is a little bigger? Maybe it's this sized when it sprouts, maybe a little smaller. And then it goes right from, like, seed to this for its adolescent stage, and then the rusty rift bloom stage. Maybe I do that. Watering, maybe not the normal way. Unstable tree. Yeah, I'm not doing tree. Tree logic in this game is bullshit. Like, I'm not I'm not gonna mess with trees in this game. No, thank you. I'm not. Nope. Not doing that. Would be nice. They wouldn't have to be turned into crops. Yeah, that's my thing. I don't want these to take nutrients. I don't want them to be on farmland. I like the fact that I'm spacing them out because I would like them to, like, grow into a fruit, maybe? Like, I don't know. I want the option there, right? So that's why there's a space. And they're kind of like cactus. They're like, to me, a Minecraft cactus have the spaces in between, right? And then maybe transmutation cuts this down. Maybe it destroys everything and then just turns it back into a seed, right? You get the seed and whatever the drop is. Maybe transmutation's a better form of a knife. A knife would give, you know, like whatever the current rates are. If you cut, you know, this plant down, right? So you get maybe 1 to 2 rusty dust and 1 to 2 shifting fibers. Maybe being a mage, I can harvest this with transmutation, right? It would be an AoE thing. You could cut down, and then maybe you get double the drops. Right? What about that? Takes the same amount of time, but me being a magic user, I can interact with these better. Would cut down the 3 visual stages. You wouldn't cut down the 3 visual stages. Well, what does this stage really do for us? What does the Rift Bloom stage... When's the last time someone said, you know what? I got a basic Rift Bloom. Let me cut this up with a knife to get shifting fibers. Why have that be a stage? Why not have it to where it's like in the ground, and then it's a sprout, and then it becomes the full Rift Bloom? At least with a sprout, you'll know, like, hey, I can't... If I break this, right? The sprout is only going to give me, like, whatever the seed is back, right? Whatever the sprout is back, and I'm not getting much from it because it's too young. Too young to harvest. You can imagine a thing blooming from a temporal creature's corpse. Maybe like a block drop from the drifters or something. That's a cool idea. I like that idea. For me, it shows that it actually works. It's just nice seeing the passage of time. This game already gives... Well, you're talking about passage of time. You can also... Like, what about this passage of time, right? You got a sprout, and then in about 13 days, it grows into a tree. This doesn't change for 13 days. This is what it's going to look like. You don't get little adolescent tree or anything, right? So what I'm saying is I go from, like, seed, right? You got, like, your seed stage, your mound of dirt, right? And then it becomes a sprout, like, maybe a little smaller than this one. Not this small, but, right? A sprout that's about the same size as this. Right? So maybe going from this to, like, sprout stage takes a day. You know, it takes less than a day, we'll say. I'll keep it in the same line here. And then this will take so many days, depending on if there's a rift around. And then it becomes the full thing, and then you have 2 ways of harvesting it, right? You could use a knife, you know, and maybe you get so many things back, or you could use transmutation. Maybe that's what it is. Transmutation could reset it to its regular Rift Bloom phase, right? It could shave off some of the stuff, and then you gotta wait however long. So instead of it being like this to this, it's a long time. I could shorten that gap, and then just kind of balance it. I think maybe that would be good. And then I have to put how many days it's going to be until this matures. You know? But honestly, I think it'd be kind of silly having 7 stages of Rift Bloom sprouts and then having it just get like a little bigger each time. That's kind of silly. They don't do it with trees. Why would I do it with everything else, right? And this is not a crop, you know, that's taking nutrients and everything. Yeah. So maybe that's what I'll do on my next stream, because I don't have much longer now. I gotta find someone to raid. But maybe that's what happens here. I take a, you know, I will use the tree as an example in its early stages. You plant your seed, right? So maybe there's a seed phase. So this sprout, I could just rename it to seed. Now the problem is making this change, it's going to complicate things for people that already have their rift blooms in the world. Unless they're fully mature rift blooms here, the rusty rift bloom, there's a chance that, because like when I get rid of these, you know, and turn them into seeds, people can see, you know, some issue here. Ah, he's asking for me. I'll come in, okay. Alright, so we are gonna find someone to raid. Let's continue this conversation. Like, I read the Discord stuff. Like, bring this over to Discord. Let me know what we think, because I don't mind putting in the work to design this stuff. Right? I don't require, yeah, the Overlord. I'm gonna go take a nap with my little baby triangle. So let's find someone to raid. Honestly, just do it in the Discord. There's a lot more people in the Discord for Vintage Story, that sub-Discord. I think maybe the personal Discord, Freya and I used it as like a shared kind of streaming platform. We gotta find a way to repurpose it, get people in there. But for now, just write in the main Vintage Story Discord. I will read everything. Let's because all of this is balance, right? If I change how we harvest this, that's going to change how many ingredients the temporal fragments are going to make, right? Or turn into. That's going to change how you get these blocks, right? Like, it's a trickle-down effect. So let's deal with this. Let's get temporal fragments actually meaning something, right? To where we can use them. Because the other part we didn't talk about is, okay, temporal fragments come in different elemental versions. Should they? You know what I mean? Like, what does having fire, you know what I mean? Like, what are the effects? And then maybe you could pitch it to me that you can start imbuing these with certain elements. There are 8 elements. If someone can pitch an idea for me, the benefits between like fire versus water versus, you know, even if it's like, oh, you know, this half makes it grow faster, this half increases the yield. You know what I mean? I can make different colored themed plants. Just throwing it out there. All right, everyone, let's find someone to raid. Vintage Story. Who do we got? I'm gonna have to raid and run, so let's do Back from Vacation and Sick. Poor dude. A Silent Vibe. I am going to... I don't think I've rated this person at all. Maybe. Although it freaks me out seeing like the animated things in the corner. Freaks me out. Let's we'll raid this guy. Copy / raid. Pop it in. Gotcha, yeah, I'll write something up. At least I'm not on the phone. At least when I'm not on the phone. Alright, everyone, we're gonna rate this. Thank you so much for watching me. We got some good conversations. That's the main reason why I live stream. It's not to actually get work done, it's to get input and feedback on how I'm doing, because it helps to do it now and not later to where I have to rewrite something 7, 8, 9 times because I can't think of everything, right? Collective. So put your ideas in Discord about what these stages should look like, right? People aren't going to want something super complex, yet it seems like this is not doing it. So let's iron it out, think of drop rates, think of how it could interact with fragments maybe, right? Let's go all out, because if I rewrite it this time, let me just put all the stuff in this one time. All right, everyone, thank you. Have a wonderful day, and I will probably talk to you all a little later. Bye. I'll be popping into Discord as I'm laying down with Baby Triangle. So, all right, everyone, thank you. Have a great night. Bye.